All right, guys, we are live with a very special Monday edition of Ringside Reporter Podcast. So we'll get right into the news here. Beeb did a video earlier about Anthony Joshua possibly having a concussion and everything like that. We are now learning, and this has been, I guess, the WBN, World Boxing News. Is it World Boxing News, right, Beeb?
I believe so, yes.
World Boxing News, and they're a very credible source, and I believe they're based out of England or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. They're based out of England. They're a very credible source. It's kind of like Boxing Scene is here. So very credible source. They're reporting that Joshua was knocked out in sparring by Joey Dawejko before the Ruiz fight. Now, as far as a timeline on this goes, I have no idea when this happened. If you guys remember back with the Mike Tyson Buster Douglas thing, when he was knocked down, I think it was by Trevor. Was it Trevor Burbick? Not Trevor Burbick.
Not Trevor Burbick.
Page,
Michael Bay or something.
I thought it was Greg Page that knocked him down.
Greg Page. That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you're
Greg Page hit
right.
him with
You're
a
correct.
big right hand and put him down.
You're correct.
That was like on tape and everybody saw it. I remember it was across the news and everything. But here it was kind of like hush hush. So we don't know. We're just hearing that he was knocked out in sparring. Now, what is a knockout? A knockout here is maybe a little bit different than it is in an actual fight. If you get buzzed or you get stunned or you get anything, they will stop the sparring session. I don't think he has to be like completely laid out on the canvas or anything like that. So he was probably could have just been buzzed, could have been a bad knockout, could have been a vicious knockout. I don't know. So there's a lot of room for interpretation here. That's what we're hearing is Joshua was actually knocked out in sparring by Joey Dawejko prior to the Ruiz fight, who's a pretty good heavyweight in his own right. But that being said, we don't know the timeline. We don't know when it happened. We don't know anything like that. But could that have affected his performance? I guess it could have. I guess depending on when it happened. But anyway, it could affect his performance in the sense that maybe he's never been knocked out in sparring. Maybe he's never been touched up like that in sparring. And that could definitely shake your confidence, Beeb, right?
Absolutely. And let's be honest about it. If you're taking a beating in camp, then that's not a good sign for you leading into a fight. I mean, I guess all of us can agree on that. Your sparring partners aren't supposed to be beating you up. You're supposed to be beating your sparring partners up. You're supposed to be getting work from your sparring partners. And if your sparring partners are giving you more damage than the actual fight could, well, in this case, probably equal, I guess, judging by the result. But if your sparring partners are knocking you down, busting you up, you're walking around with scars on your face, and then even the night of the fight, he had a couple more, and I could see like he had makeup to try to cover them. And if you're walking to the ring and you look out of it, that shows to me that you had a rough camp and maybe not a good camp, maybe not an optimal camp. So if you're suffering too much damage in those sparring sessions, and a lot of fighters will tell you, a lot of these sparring sessions turn into wars, and sometimes most times they're harder, and we suffer worse damage in the fight, the fighters say. So if this is the case, if he's going into camp and he's getting beat up and he's carrying that into the fight with him, that example, that analogy I used about the chandelier getting cracks put in it. Right. Now, could his chandelier have a couple more cracks in it than normal? Could it be accumulating a lot of cracks, and will it eventually shatter? Is he at that point where maybe he hit the wall? Is he at that point where maybe the punishment, the training, everything is starting to catch up with him, and maybe he's just starting to slow down, regardless of his age? Because let's look at this, and I said this earlier in the video that I made today. He was hit by Dillian Whyte with that same punch in that same spot, and he weathered the storm. And he was also hit by Vladimir Klitschko, as everyone knows, with the big right hand, and he was also hit by Alexander Povetkin with that big right hand, and Takam was hitting him with the right hand, and so was Joseph Parker. But Dillian Whyte, Vladimir Klitschko, and Alexander Povetkin were the ones that really hurt him. So these are bigger punches than Andy Ruiz. from much bigger men, from much more powerful men. And although he was hurt, he was still able to get up and weather the storm. Now, if his punch resistance has been seriously diminished because of, over time, him taking a lot of punches, and over time, him being in these rough sparring sessions, and now each camp gets worse and worse for him, and now, we're hearing reports for the first time that he's actually been knocked out by a sparring partner in camp. If it's starting to become this tough for him now, then we could possibly say that we may be looking at a damaged fighter here, or a fighter in decline, or a fighter that has lost a step, to say the least. He may not be that phenom that we once thought he was. He may be losing some of that luster. And a lot of people are saying, well, some fighters can come back. We saw Manny Pacquiao. We've seen other fighters get knocked out. Tommy Hearns got knocked out, went on to win like six championships in 6 different weight classes. We've seen fighters come back. But how many fighters don't come back? More fighters don't come back than do come back the same. Right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Mike Tyson was never the same.
No,
Mike Tyson was never the same after his knockout to Buster Douglas. Roy Jones was never the same after his knockout to Antonio Tarver. And the list goes on and on. So Eric Morales was never the same after those vicious knockouts by Manny Pacquiao. That took a lot out of him. So I don't know. I mean, if fighters know that they can hit you on the top of the head, and that's the reaction that they're going to get, then Roy Jones the same thing. Like Antonio Tarver hit him, and Glenn Johnson both of them hit him on the top of the head, and you saw his legs just wiggle and go up from underneath them. So, it's almost like scar tissue. The brain has scar tissue too. So if you see guys that have scar tissue over their eyes and they get tapped in the eyes and then they bleed very easily because of the scar tissue, it's the same thing with the brain. If a specific spot of your brain has been hit enough times, it's going to have some damage to it, and that's going to affect your punch resistance over time. So I'm really concerned about Anthony Joshua right now. And maybe I'm sounding a little melodramatic here, but I'm generally concerned about Anthony Joshua moving forward and his health. And I think people around him should possibly be concerned, not possibly, should definitely be concerned as well, in my opinion.
Well, the WBN also reports, and many people noted this the other day, that his father went after Eddie Hearn. I mean, you could see it in the video. He had to be restrained by Anthony Joshua because he actually went after Eddie Hearn. His father, Joshua's father, actually went after Eddie Hearn. And WBN was reporting it's because of these incidents in sparring, this incident, incidentally, in sparring, that he was knocked out, and the father says, listen, he's in we need to pull him out of there because he was, he was really kind of fearful. He said, hey, wait a minute, this is not right. There's something going on here. He shouldn't be fighting. Which leads me to believe, again, just pure speculation on my part, that maybe it happened closer to the fight than we think, in the sense that perhaps fight week. Who knows? Or maybe the week before, or whatever the case. But the father did not want him to fight, and that was pretty clear, and that was actually reported by WBN.
Yeah.
And like I said, they're usually a pretty credible source. They're kind of like boxing scene is here, So, and if that's the case, then it is what it is. But it's a tough thing. I mean, this is going to be a tough loss to come back from. I mean, a lot of people have been pointing to his trainers and stuff like that. Listen, I mean, he got battered in that fight. And somebody, I think it was Chris Carlson today, posted, I just read that he had a nervous, he had a breakdown in his dressing, or a panic attack in his dressing room. Tomorrow he's going to have kidney surgery. He was like, what other kind of excuses are they going to come up with? And I just thought it was funny that all this stuff is now leaking out, But a lot of people did say, in fairness, I was one of them, my father was one of them, that he did not look right in there. He did not look right in the ring. Now, could that have been...
Even walking out to the ring, he didn't look right.
Standing
in his corner.
But it could have been, The big stage, knowing you got knocked out, in sparring, that can't be a great feeling, and that kind of stuff does happen. I mean, it does happen that you get knocked, that you have to stop sparring because of that, or, you get knocked down in sparring. All that stuff happens, but it's, listen, man, if you've never had any kind of history of that before, and that happens to you right before a big fight on a pretty big stage, on a fight that you're expected to win, it's tough, man. That's got to be, anytime you lose like that, it does something to you. It damages your confidence. So I don't know, man. Eddie Hearn was apparently the one that told Anthony Joshua's father, "Hey, it's okay. He'll be fine." And apparently, I don't know. I mean, whether listen, man, whether it was or wasn't, not up to us. But Eddie Hearn came out today, according to TalkSport, and said AJ wants an immediate rematch, and the venue and everything like that should be announced in the next couple of days. So I don't know, man. I don't know if that's the best idea.
I don't go along with that. I think Eddie Hearn's full of shit.
Yeah.
Just like the Tyson Fury Dillian White fight was definitely on. Listen,
but that wasn't on him. That wasn't, again, I mean, I don't want to rehash that, but that wasn't on him. That was on all three of those guys.
I disagree with that.
I disagree with that. Knowing
the history of Tyson Fury, you got to know better before you announce something like that. You have to have pen to paper for that.
And not only that, it was also announced by the WBC. So,
yeah. So it's just bullshit. But let me ask you a question.
Sure.
After a loss like that, is he in any condition to make an immediate decision in the next 3 days? Does that make sense to you? This is why I get so angry with this motherfucker.
You know what? It makes 100% perfect sense to me. This guy, let me tell you what, for the next month, shouldn't buy anything expensive. He should have to think about every decision he makes. He should have somebody next to him saying, "Hey, that's a good idea," or "No, that's not a good idea." Yeah, this is not a good time. I mean, if you wanted to hit up AJ for money, now is the time. If you're a long-lost relative or whatever, this is the time. Because he should not be making any decisions at all anytime soon.
And this guy, supposedly, according to Hearn, suffered a concussion as well during the fight. And like I spoke to you earlier about, when you get one concussion, it's very easy to get another one and another one and another one. How many times have you heard of football players getting multiple concussions over the course of their careers?
Sure.
You're very susceptible to getting another one once you suffer one.
Yeah.
So this guy just left the ring. Supposedly he was concussed, and you're asking him to make a decision about what he wants to do next within 3 days.
Well,
this guy, like Dave Allen said, he said Anthony Joshua should go on an island for like a month and just relax and calm himself down. I'm gonna say something right now. I don't think the rematch happens.
I don't know that it does either. I'll be honest.
I don't think Al Haymon is going to allow.
No,
not going to allow. But I think Al Haymon is going to strongly advise Ruiz. Hey, listen, he wants it in the UK. Fuck that. You're the champion. You're the first Mexican heavyweight champion. You do this fight in California, where the Hispanic and Mexican crowd can come see you fight.
He wants to fight in Mexico.
Yeah. Oh, he wants to give you this amount of money? You're the champion.
Right.
Tell him you want 50-50. I know. I don't think these negotiations are going to be as smooth as Eddie Hearn's anticipating. And he says, "Oh, Andrew Ruiz is a nice guy. He's a warrior. He's this, he's that." Yeah, he was a nice guy before the press conference too, when he was holding Joshua's belt and hugging him and shaking his hand. But he wasn't a nice guy in that ring.
That's
right. And
he's
not going to be a nice guy. He's not going to be a nice guy once Al Haymon has a conversation with them and they sit down together discussing this fight and the negotiations begin. Listen, and I don't even think Anthony Joshua mentally is ready for a rematch, and he may not even want it because he was asked about who he wants next, and he goes, "You know who I want next."
Right. Speaking of Deontay Wilder.
He still wants to fight Deontay Wilder even without being champion.
Yeah.
It's not like when you see a guy lose and a guy that really wants to rematch. We've seen guys lose to guys say, "Oh, we got to run that back as soon as possible, right? We've seen guys do that.
Yep.
That's not the reaction we got from him. He could care less if he fights friggin' Andy Ruiz again.
You know what I really like? I like the policy that the UFC has. And the policy is after a fighter gets knocked out, and I don't know if it's their policy or just Joe Rogan's policy. That I don't know.
It's Joe Rogan's policy.
Yeah. That when that fighter is knocked out, they don't interview him.
Yeah.
Because, listen, you're going to say something silly, or you can say something silly because you're not in the right frame of mind.
Listen to these fucking... I'm sorry, Eric, I got to interrupt you. Listen to these fucking idiots in the chat. Listen to these fucking... You so dumb unanimous. Motherfuckers. The terms are not set for the rematch. Eddie Hearn came out and said the terms are not set. He was asked, are they going to be in the UK? Oh, we want them in the UK, but we still have to work that out. But when you sign a rematch clause, the contract for the next fight is not already fucking done. You guys are so fucking dumb. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. The terms are not fucking set. They still have to renegotiate the rematch, you fucking dummies. Can't fucking stand it. I always get hyped because I can't stand listening to the stupidity of you fucking idiots sometimes.
Geezer.
That's what we say. We say that in the UK. We say that in the UK.
We say that in the UK, huh? Geezer. Yeah.
I mean, how the fuck?
What a wet noodle.
Like, the purse is set. Yeah, everything's set. You fucking dummy. You're a fucking dummy.
It's not set because they don't know. They don't know the venue or anything like that.
Okay, so where's the venue?
A lot of that.
Where's the venue? Where's the location? Right. Where's the venue? Where's the date? Yeah, it's done.
It's done. Kendall.
Okay, so it's done.
Great.
All you guys know it's done. All you guys know it's done. Where's it being fought at? Where's the location? And the date?
Venues in UK. Great. Where? And what date? He must have an inside track, Beeb.
Yeah, if you know it's done, tell me everything. What's the purses? What's the purses? Thank you. Shut the fuck up, all you motherfuckers. Dumb fucking idiots. It's like debating with fucking... I feel like I'm at a preschool. Like a substitute teacher at a preschool right now debating these fucking retards.
Yeah. My guess is that Ruiz is going to sit down, like you said, with Haymon if he hasn't already, which I'm sure he has. Yeah, this isn't a done deal yet.
Haymon has all 4 belts now. He's got all 4. He's got fucking all 5 belts now.
You want me to tell you what he has? You want me to tell you what Al Haymon has? He's got as close to the undisputed championship of the world you can have, and that's Andy Ruiz right now with 3 of the belts.
He's got Deontay Wilder.
Now,
he's got Deontay Wilder.
Ruiz can say, screw it, and walk away and just not give him the rematch and get stripped of all his titles. Let me tell you this. It doesn't matter. Ruiz is now the champ. You can take the belts off him. It doesn't mean a thing, son. Because now he can go fight Deontay Wilder, and whoever wins that is now the undisputed champion of the world with or without belts. Because we saw with our own 2 eyes Andy Ruiz go in there and flatten Anthony Joshua. Whether there was something wrong with him, whether there wasn't something wrong with him, I don't care. He stepped in the ring and he got smashed. Okay? And listen, I'm a Joshua fan. I love Joshua. He's one of my favorites. All right? But what happened. Listen, man, I tell you what I see, and that's the way it happened, Suleiman, let me see, will sanction Wilder versus Andy ASAP. No, I don't know. He can't sanction. I don't know that I don't know. Man.
And here's the thing too. I think Eddie Hearn knew that there was something wrong with Joshua going into that fight. I believe it. I believe that because why would his father be so mad at Eddie Hearn like that? He probably said, you know what? He shouldn't fight. Pull out, or at least postpone it. Why couldn't they postpone it or do something?
They said, well, who's? Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a mystery to me. I mean, listen, man, it's a big venue. All the fighters get impacted then.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. And so
that's what fucking Eddie Hearn probably said
out of that fight.
That's what Eddie Hearn probably said to him. We got all these people here. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And his father probably said, "Who cares?" His father doesn't care about all that. His father cares about his son.
You talk about
cares about his son's health.
Right. Look at the Manny Pacquiao. Look at Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather. Pacquiao's shoulder was injured. Didn't he end up having like rotator cuff surgery or something crazy like that?
Something like that after the fight. Yeah.
Look, man. And Robert said, hey, why didn't he should have backed out of it? They should, he owes all these people an explanation. Listen, man, it ain't all that easy. $400 million on the line.
And these are the guy.
I'd fight with a torn rotator cuff for $400 million. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but Eric, if Anthony Joshua pulls out of that fight, you don't think he can make that same money in another fight that he made in that fight?
Sure, he can. He can, and they can delay the fight for a couple of weeks. They can go that route. But I tell you what, man. Again, it's not all that I can see. Listen. The human side of me says you should have pulled out of that fight. He had no business in the ring. If that were the case, his father said he had no business in the ring. Okay. So if his father said that and he was, listen, it is what it is. I mean, that's what's being reported is that his father did not want him in the ring after the sparring incident. And when the sparring incident happened, I don't know. But the father didn't want. That's good enough for me. If the father didn't want him in the ring, hey, it is what it is, But Joshua took it on himself. He went in there. Eddie Hearn knew what happened. They all knew what happened, and they all chose to go through with it. So at this point, you really can't, say nothing about it. I mean, if it were me, would I want him out of there? Yeah. But do I understand the other side of it? Yeah, I do. I get both sides. And again, we don't know other than, maybe confidence was shaken. I don't know if there was anything wrong with him that day.
Eric, you got to look at the long game.
I agree.
Look at the long game. Now you have a damaged fighter moving forward, possibly. Possibly, right? And now all his fucking big paydays are in jeopardy because of the damage he took in this fight and because of the damage. Now we already knew he took the damage in sparring, but even look at it this way: when you get knocked out in a fight, right? The commission suspends you for what? 120 days?
Yeah. I think that's pretty standard. But
yeah, it's pretty standard, right?
It is, but it's not, in the sense that you can be suspended, but you can also show proof and you can also get that lifted fairly quickly.
It's hard, though. Most guys, when they get knocked out like that, they're not allowed to get back in the ring for another 4 to 6 months. Okay?
Yeah, on a knockout. Yeah, on a knockout. On a
knockout.
Yeah, for sure.
So if that's the case in a real fight, why wouldn't that be applicable in sparring? Now, obviously, they can't enforce it, but why wouldn't the team have that same mentality as the commission in terms of safety for the fighters? So it's hard for me to believe Eddie Hearn did not know about this, and it's hard for me to believe that Eddie Hearn. It's hard for me to believe Eddie Hearn, the businessman that he is, didn't put the dollars before the fight.
Yeah,
and that's pure speculation. But sure. I believe that. I believe that. That's why you had that altercation in the ring between the father and Eddie Hearn.
Well, that's what they said. That's no longer speculation. I mean, that is being reported. I mean, that the the altercation between Eddie Hearn and Joshua's father in the ring, this is what they said it had to do with. That is being reported by a credible news source that, again, he thought his son should be nowhere near Madison Square Garden on that night, and that he shouldn't have fought that night. So, but we could look. I mean, listen, man. Again, I don't have any evidence that there was anything wrong with Joshua. Fight night, I don't have any evidence of that. He had to pass a physical to go in there.
So did Muhammad Ali when he fought Larry Holmes and he couldn't even fucking talk. How did he pass that physical?
No, that I have no idea.
Okay.
That I have no idea. But you're talking about
the New York State all these fights. How did Evander Holyfield pass physicals? How did James Toney pass physicals when he couldn't talk? How?
What do you mean he couldn't talk?
Listen to James. You ever hear James Toney talk? His slurring his words.
Yeah.
He's been doing that for the last 15 years.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. But, I guess...
Well, Tommy Hearns was slurring his words for the longest time, and he was still allowed to fight.
Yeah.
Do you think these guys... If they want a fight to happen, it's going to happen. Tommy Morrison was getting sanctioned by certain commissions in the United States, even with AIDS. They were letting them fight.
I thought he had to go overseas for those fights.
No, he was fighting in some fucking small friggin' towns somewhere.
Or was it on a casino or like a reservation?
He's fighting like in Oklahoma. He's fighting in like fucking lands and places and shit, like small commissions and shit like that. Some states don't even have athletic commissions.
Where was it? Because I thought he fought like overseas when he was.
No. He was fighting in the United States. He was still fighting. He was still fighting even when he had HIV.
When was his HIV? When was his HIV diagnosed? That had to be the Marcus. Well, no.
That was like not too long after the Foreman fight. That was like in the mid '90s.
Where is Chester? That's in the U.S.
Yeah.
Mountain Casino, Racetrack and Resort. My guess is that's a Indian reservation. I could be wrong.
But Connecticut has fights in the Indian reservation, and they have a commission.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Very true. Yeah, this was.
Don't put stock in these commissions doing the right thing all the time, Eric. I mean, we've seen that times when they haven't done the right thing. Ferdy Pacheco left Muhammad Ali. He was Muhammad Ali's doctor for almost 35, close to 40 years. He was fucking Muhammad Ali's doctor, and even he was so disgusted at the condition of with Muhammad Ali being allowed to fight in the condition he was in during that Holmes fight that he actually walked out of the camp. And he still was licensed. He was hitting the speed bag, and he was like fucking missing it. And he was talking, he was slurring his words, he was mumbling. To sit there and say that there wasn't something wrong with him at that point in time, and he still was allowed to fight. So you can't just stick a fucking light in someone's eyes and say, "Hey, this guy's got a concussion." You can't. It's not that easy. There's certain levels of concussion. You can be concussed. You can have a mild concussion. You can have a moderate concussion. You can have if you have a severe concussion, then obviously there's going to be different types of symptoms. But I think that he had a real rough training camp, and he was damaged in that training camp, damaged enough where he probably should have pulled out of the fight. That's my opinion. That's just what I believe. And I don't have evidence, but I have circumstantial evidence by looking at him, seeing how he reacted, just the way he talked and answered questions. He just looked out of it all week. And everyone was saying it all week leading up to the fight. What did everyone say? Oh, something's not right about this guy. Then after the fight, how many questions were asked? Hey, were you okay? Was something wrong in there? Like, something was wrong. These were not normal circumstances going into a fight, especially a title fight. I just think something was wrong, and they knew about it. And I honestly believe, at the very least, they should have postponed this fight maybe a month, at least, or 6 weeks. That's just my opinion.
In order for him to get certified diagnosed with a concussion, he had to go see a doctor. That's got to be on a record somewhere. All right. So then he goes into the pre-fight. Again, I don't think he had I think he had a concussion after the fight. I think he got a concussion during the fight. But to say he had a concussion before the fight, right before, going into the ring, he had a concussion. He
was knocked out.
What's that?
He was knocked out.
Yeah, we don't know when he was knocked out, though.
He was knocked out in sparring.
When? We don't know. That's the point. Could have been 2 weeks prior to. Could have been a week prior to.
But here's another problem. Who allows their fighter? Because this is the other rumor that a lot of people are saying, and this rumor has legs, that he was actually sparring the week of the fight. Who the fuck spars the week of the fight?
That should be when they're tapering down. Yeah, that should be when it's tapering down. But who? Again, that's just a rumor. We don't know. But I will tell you this. What is interesting, before we go any further, hey guys, make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to hit the like button in there. If you guys are watching, you guys enjoying what we're doing, go ahead and make sure to hit the thumbs up button, man. And subscribe to the channel. Give us
How long do the symptoms last, Eric, from a concussion? They could last weeks, can't they?
Typically,
I've heard people say they could last weeks.
Typically, like about a week, 2 weeks, but the doctor has to clear you when you're symptom free.
But as a commissioned doctor,
only a doctor can clear you.
But is a commissioned doctor the same type of doctor as your
MD? Yeah.
No, I understand they were an MD. No. I understand they were an MD.
Right.
But are they a specialist, Eric? Are they like your family care doctor? Are they going to give you the same type of care that your primary care physician will give you? I mean, it's a pretty quick random. Like, I needed a physical to get a job once, and I went to like a health center, or whatever.
Right.
And they didn't do an extensive exam on me. They looked at me, blah blah blah, 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 and I was out of there in 3 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I go back to Muhammad Ali, Evander Holyfield, all these other fighters that have no business being in the ring, but they were allowed to go in the ring and they were cleared to fight. You're not going to tell me that any reasonable person would have cleared Muhammad Ali in the condition he was in to fight Larry Holmes. But some fucking doctor did it.
Right.
Some fucking doctor did it. So you're telling me they have to get this, they have to get that? Okay. But again, I don't have much faith in the system. And I'm just going to be honest. And the reason why I don't have faith in the system is because of what I've seen over the years. And that's just it. There's too much money on the line for them. Too many other people had a vested interest in this fight, and they were going to do everything they could possible to make sure this fight happened, regardless of fucking the condition of Anthony Joshua. Eddie Hearn included, in my opinion. That's just my fucking... And there was pressure. Deontay Wilder just fought last week. We got to make a statement as soon as possible. We got to get the play back. I'm telling you, man, they should have fucking postponed this fight. This fight should not have happened fucking on Saturday. I don't believe it should have happened. I'm sorry.
Well, the other evidence is we don't even know if he got a concussion in sparring. We have no idea.
Can we at least agree on this? He had a rough camp, and he took a lot of... and it's very plausible to come to this conclusion that he took a lot of damage from his sparring partners. Can we agree on that, possibly?
Well, he took damage by being knocked down or knocked out.
But did he take
the fight? Yeah.
Did he take a lot of excessive damage in this particular camp, more so than others?
I think anytime you get knocked out, right? I mean,
have you ever seen his face busted up? I think that's probably accurate. Have you ever seen his face busted up like that before a fight? Have you ever seen him act like this before a fight? Have you just? This is just something was wrong. You said it. You said something was wrong.
I said when he got in the ring, he didn't look right. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. But again, could that have been, hey, he was knocked out and his confidence was shaken? Now he's in there with this big guy in here? I don't know. But something wasn't right. And to your point, I believe he did. I believe he did take a lot in sparring. I believe he, listen, man, you're not supposed to get KO'd by your sparring partners. That's just the way it is. They're there to give you work and everything. You're not supposed to get KO'd by your sparring partners. Of course
I'm speculating, but I have a reason to speculate. Because I have circumstantial evidence. I have strong circumstantial evidence. The guy's face was marked up, and one of the marks on his face was a big scar. You don't get a big scar like that on your face if someone's hitting you with a fucking feather duster, dick face. He got hurt. He got hurt. You dumb fucks. I mean, I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. Something happened.
Anthony Scott says, Anthony Joshua took damage in sparring and had major bruising the week before the fight. He definitely had trauma to the head 100%. Again, you don't know that.
I strongly suspect that he had some damage. That's just me.
Yeah. Like I said, he definitely got touched up and he definitely got knocked out in sparring. So that would indicate to me that he suffered
damage. When you get hit in the head and you get knocked down, you suffer regardless of the extent. you suffer some type of neurological damage. Your brain in that area that's getting hit decides to say, we're shutting this part of our brain down today. Or not today, but for that particular time.
Right.
So he suffered damage. Now, you made a good point. Everyone suffers damage in camp. Yeah. But how many times do people get beat up and knocked out in sparring during a camp?
They get beat up a lot. Now, as far as getting knocked out in sparring, I don't know that. I mean, I don't know how common that is, getting knocked out in sparring. But everybody takes shots. Everybody gets beat up. Everybody gets hit in the head. Everybody gets hit in the body. I mean, you definitely take your lumps in sparring for sure, no matter who it is. Now, if he went, and again, this is another thing that we don't know, but speculating. When you get knocked out, I believe they consider that concussion.
That's what I'm saying, Eric.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
If you get,
it's a mild concussion.
What I'm saying by knocked out is go out.
It's a mild concussion.
If you go out, yeah.
Someone asked me, is everyone that agrees with me, that doesn't agree with me, stupid? No, Eric doesn't agree with me, and he's not stupid. No. He's not stupid. At all. People who are saying that I'm speculating, well, it's a normal human reaction to be speculative. Why do you lock your door at night? Do you know for sure someone's going to break in your house? No, but you think that you're skeptical that there's a chance that someone could break in your house, so you lock your door. You guys say, "Oh, Beeb, you're speculating." That's not out of the realm of normalcy by speculating. I think we have enough circumstantial evidence to at least agree that possibly he could have had a rough camp, possibly he could have suffered some severe damage in training, possibly he could have gotten knocked out in sparring, because it's being reported that he did. I'm not saying it's 100% factual, but I'm connecting the dots. Why would his father be that angry? I'm sure, his father did not want him to fight that night.
Well, I think that's factual. Yeah, I think that's factual.
Why would he not want him to fight that night if there wasn't something wrong with him physically? So you're telling me that I'm wrong for speculating here? Can I prove everything 100%? No. But I am speculating.
Right. And that's...
I said include the word if in your statements. Why do I have to put if? I'm saying my opinion. My opinion's enough.
Right?
This is why I have to call you stupid, because you're just dumb. You're a dumb person. I'm sorry. You're a dumb person.
If you don't in the chat. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Beeb.
If you don't think that it's okay to speculate that something, everyone was asking him at the end of the press conference, was something wrong? They were speculating too. If I see Eric walking out of his house one day and he trips and he's like staggering and he's fucking all over the place, could I ask him, Eric, are you okay? Are you drunk? Did something happen to you? Are you hurt? Is something bothering you? He could tell me, no, nothing's bothering me. He can continue to walk down that street, stumble, trip, fall, then turn over to the curb and throw up. And Eric, you sure nothing's wrong? No, I'm all right. Everything's okay. Just a little under the weather, but nothing really serious. I don't know what his physical condition is. I don't know. I wasn't with him the night before. I wasn't with him an hour ago. I didn't see him what he was doing then. But I could visually see something's wrong with him. And of course I'm going to speculate that it possibly could be more serious than he's telling me. That's speculation. That's healthy to do that. That's normal to do that. If I walk into work tomorrow and I see someone at their desk crying, is something wrong? Oh, no. I'm just a little sad today. It's raining out. It's cloudy. I'm just in a bad mood because of that. And I'm going to say to myself, no, there's got to be more than that. But I don't know for sure. I'm speculating, right? That's circumstantial evidence. The circumstantial evidence is all those marks on his face during fight week. Okay? Circumstantial evidence is reports have come out that he suffered damage and was knocked out in sparring by multiple sources. Okay? I can't confirm them, but, I'm looking at his face. I'm looking at his body language. I'm looking at him coming into the ring. What are the first thing I said when he was in the ring? He had a glazed look in his eyes. Something was wrong, okay? That's circumstantial evidence number 2. Circumstantial evidence number 3 is his father went nuts and started pointing his finger at Eddie Hearn, yelling at Eddie Hearn after the fight. Meaning that he wasn't happy with something. Suggesting that he didn't want his son to fight that night. Those are all circumstantial evidence. Pieces of circumstantial evidence. And I think that's enough to at least be speculative of that there was something wrong. There was something wrong with him. There was something wrong with him. He was not himself. He was not whole that night going into the ring. And I know you could sit there and say, well, no one's 100% whole. But he was less than probably half himself maybe in that ring that night. 60%. He was probably at 60%. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Now, H Money is in the chat. H Money said that Anthony Joshua is a bum. Anthony Joshua is a fraud.
No, he's not.
I don't think so either. Why would you say something like that? That's seriously, that's not a nice thing to say. And that's the former heavyweight champion of the world, by the way, that we're talking about. So let's talk about this because we can agree to disagree on your theory.
That's
by the
fine.
way, which your theory is a very plausible theory.
Plausible, right?
And I'm not saying I disagree with the theory because if you piece everything together, that sounds right. I mean, that sounds plausible. I'm just saying, again, we don't have the evidence to support that theory.
Don't.
But
we don't. All we have is hearsay.
Right. Okay. Perfect.
We do. I'll agree with that. I'm not going to dispute that.
Correct.
I'm not going to dispute that. We have. I am speculating, and a lot of this is hearsay. But again, this is a radio show podcast. Right. Everybody on YouTube has an opinion. So to just sit there and say we can only talk when we have 100% actual proof of something.
Right.
It's a normal thing to speculate. I'm not passing anything off as facts here. I'm using the words my opinion after every fucking point I made today. Okay? So if you can't fucking respect my opinion in the chat, then fuck you. Simple as that. Fuck you. I can respect Eric because he's debating me intelligently. You guys are just telling me I'm wrong and I'm lying and I'm speculating about it. You're not debating me with intelligence. You're debating me with fucking emotion. That's the problem.
You know, and you guys in the chat.
That's the fucking problem. Don't debate me with emotion. Debate me with your fucking mind.
Saying that Anthony Joshua quit and everything like that, and he was a hype job. That couldn't be further from the truth. Number one, Anthony got out for 4 knockdowns. All right, so he did not quit that fight. Number two, it's like to call this guy a hype job. We all agree that he had a better resume than Wilder. How is that a hype job? Does that make Wilder a hype job?
I take nothing away from this guy. I will not say one negative thing about Anthony Joshua. I will say negative things about Eddie Hearn, not as a person, but as a promoter. I don't like some of the things he does. I just don't like it. And it bothers me.
You know, like, you guys sound like a bunch of casual guys out there. Oh, he's a bum. He didn't, he quit, blah, blah, blah. Dude, like, come on, man. Come on. This is the guy that had the heavyweight championship of the world, defended it multiple times, got multiple belts, and was the top 3 heavyweight was one of the top 3 heavyweights, one of the big 3 that we all consider to be the best in the world. And now all of a sudden he's a bum? He's a hype job? Come on, man. This is the one thing I do hate about sports is that anytime a number 1 team loses, they're always a hype. There's always a hype job and everything like that. And Jason, you're the biggest casual in here. I wouldn't even talk too much about that, but you are the biggest casual in here.
And how can I be? Everyone tells me every time I criticize Eddie Hearn, right? I'm sorry. I don't want to turn this into an Eddie Hearn show. I apologize.
No.
Okay, I don't want to turn this into that. But every time I criticized Eddie Hearn, and maybe I've gone overboard sometimes. I'm not going to say I haven't. But that's because of my enthusiasm and my interest in having this Wilder-Joshua fight. Now I don't even really care about it anymore, but there was a time when I really wanted it to happen. But how could I be biased against Anthony Joshua if I've said all along since 2014, I've said this, and you can go back on other videos, other podcasts, other shows where I've said since 2014, and Robbie knows because he's been with me for a long time, Tyson Fury's always been the best heavyweight in the world to me. Always. I picked Tyson Fury to beat Deontay Wilder, having him come back from a 2.5-year layoff, fighting two nondescript opponents, not being himself, and I had that much belief in him as a fighter that I picked him to win. And there was only a handful of us that picked him to win. I think maybe 75 to 80% of the people out there picked Deontay Wilder to beat Tyson Fury.
Everybody.
I picked Tyson Fury to beat Vladimir Klitschko.
Right.
I picked him. I believed in this guy forever. I always said this guy is special. So if I'm going to be biased towards anybody, it's going to be towards Tyson Fury. And I can't even be biased towards him because what did I do once he signed ESPN? I criticized him for taking the deal. I didn't like it. But I understood why he took it, but I wasn't happy with it.
Right.
So if I was biased, wouldn't I be defending him taking the deal?
Well, that's what we do here, though. You know what I mean? I mean, we all have our favorites.
So I can't be biased. I am biased, but my level of bias is not as high as you guys. You guys will ride or die with somebody.
Right.
Regardless of anything.
That's the difference. That's
the difference.
When somebody makes a bonehead move, or what we perceive as a bonehead move, to knock themselves out of fight, like Tyson Fury signing with ESPN Plus, to me, that was kind of a bonehead move because, I mean, I understood it, but from a fan point of view, but we did criticize it because, hey, you screwed up this big fight. Yeah, that's a not
only this big fight, a lot of big fights, because how many fucking heavyweights does ESPN have?
Right. Chandler M, you cannot call in, but he said he wants to school us on some facts. Just do it in the chat. Let me know what you're thinking about. Oh, look at Jason riding your nuts now. So
I picked AJ over Klitschko, but I've been riding with Fury forever, man.
Yeah, I picked AJ over Klitschko too.
Who'd you pick? Oh, you picked AJ over Klitschko? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I didn't think Klitschko had too much of a chance in that fight.
Everyone, like, for Eddie Hearn to come out and say that we're going to have an announcement in 3 days. I mean, come on. Show your fighters some compassion.
So Dwayne M said, "What do you? Let's talk about this going forward here. If we're talking about going forward, I think that we can agree. I think we can kind of all agree that just like Wilder, that AJ has some flaws. You know what I mean? Does Tyson Fury have flaws? Yeah, I'm sure he does. I haven't really seen them yet. But he's got flaws as well. Maybe he doesn't throw enough punches, whatever. But anyway, AJ has some flaws, and especially, I don't know that 100% AJ, even if we're going to say that AJ was not 100% going into that fight, which I'm sure Ruiz wasn't either, so it doesn't matter. But that being that said, when he goes for the rematch, all right, I don't know that fight ends any differently. I really don't think that fight
here's my problem.
Any differently.
Here's the big problem I have, and I'm going to be conspiracy theorist, and I know this is going to make a lot of people mad. I don't like the rematch being in the UK if it ends up being in the UK, which I don't think it will. Yeah, I don't like. You're not going to sit there and tell me that they're not going to try to set it up so AJ can win the titles back because he's the money man. I don't. If I'm Andy Ruiz, if I'm Al Haymon, I am not allowing this fight to be in the UK. And I'm just being honest. And I don't care what the UK fans say, Beeb, you're biased, this or that. I want Andy Ruiz to get a fair shake in the rematch. I don't want Andy Ruiz, once he gets inside, have the ref run in there and go, all right, break, before he even fucking touches Anthony Joshua, like they did to Joseph Parker. I don't want that. Don't want that to fucking happen.
You don't want a Kenny Bayless, Floyd Mayweather referee, huh?
I don't want that. And that's why I don't care if they rematch, but I don't want the rematch in the UK. I'm sorry, I don't want in the and he won. The guy who won should pick where the fight is. Okay? I know AJ is the money man. Even with the loss, AJ's still probably he's the A side. But just because you're the A side doesn't mean that the B side will just kowtow to everything you propose. It doesn't work that way. That's why you have negotiations.
The other thing too is that
But
listen, in New York,
no,
one of the judges had him ahead.
Yeah,
had AJ ahead. How you could have AJ ahead in that fight, I have no idea.
Centurion's son says he came here so Ruiz can come to the UK. Yeah, but he came here for one reason and one reason only, so he could showcase himself against a supposedly soft touch in the States. So why does he have to go to the UK? Bullshit. The circumstances are much different. They're much different.
Chandler M says you can't lift weights with your jaw. I guess assuming that, saying that Joshua can't take a punch. Listen, tell Lennox Lewis that. You know what I mean? I mean, listen, just because you have a, your jaw is suspect. Terry Norris, Lennox Lewis, Roy Jones.
Centurion's son, This is what aggravates me about you guys. You don't listen. Didn't I just explain why I didn't want the fight, the rematch in the UK? Didn't I make myself perfectly clear on the reasoning why I didn't want that fight in the UK, the rematch in the UK? Didn't I just explain why? And he's asking me why not the UK. I just explained it.
It does make sense. Now, here's the thing: from if you're looking at this objectively, it does make sense in the sense that, listen, you could say that Joshua came to America. Now it's only fair that Ruiz goes to England. I get it. And it does make sense. But
did Ruiz really have an advantage? Did Ruiz have an advantage because Joshua came to America? One of the judges had Joshua up.
Yeah.
So, and half the crowd was still UK people there, right? So did Ruiz really have an advantage?
I think he did because he didn't have to travel. I mean, he had to travel to New York. That's 5 hours from LA, or 5 hours from California. Yeah, I think he does. I think he did have an advantage that way.
But Joshua will have an insurmountable advantage in the UK, where it's pretty close to even, maybe slightly in Ruiz's favor because of the location. But other than that, Joshua's going to have the whole promotion, the whole fight will be designed for him to win. He just gets too much favorable treatment over there. They're just.
It's kind of like Canelo in Vegas.
It's like Canelo in Vegas. The same thing. You fight Canelo in Vegas, you're already down 3 rounds before the bell rings.
I don't.
Why do you think Golovkin doesn't want to? Golovkin came out and said, "I don't want the third fight to be in Vegas." Why?
Yeah. I don't like. That's the thing, man. I don't like the fight in Vegas. I understand why they're pitching the fight not in Vegas, but the UK. I understand it. I get it, and I get fair is fair. But if I'm Andy Ruiz, I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it. No way.
I'm not doing it.
But, listen, man, you can make the decision. I think Andy Ruiz, I think he beats him again. I don't think any version of AJ. I think it's just a bad style matchup.
I just don't think AJ is going to ever be what he once was. There's been slippage.
And we said, hey, AJ didn't look at. Listen, AJ was coming on at the end of that second round. Looked like he figured him out. In the third round, in about a minute in, put him on the floor with a picture perfect hook. You know what I mean? I mean, that left hook that he landed on the jaw was about as picture perfect as you're going to get.
I mean, Andy Ruiz is not a huge puncher. There's a lot harder punchers out there.
There is, but again, you remember, and I said it during the fight, man. He's eating a lot of right hands, and I don't care how big of a jaw you have. You cannot eat 200.
So your argument is the
too many. He's eating too many shots.
The amount of the punches, the quantity of punches being thrown add up. So enough of those little shots can equal someone else's one big shot.
Man, and I tell you, Andy Ruiz is 264 pounds or whatever he came in at. That's a big guy.
Yeah,
that's a very big guy, man.
Yeah. No,
and Dwayne M says any 260 pound man's got some power. He's 100% right. Or Deion Johnson said that. I'm sorry.
Robbie would have derailed the conversation 100,099 times with the interruption.
Hey guys,
I don't know. I got a little over.
We can't listen, man. You can't say we didn't try. We gave it our all yesterday, man. We had the intervention and everything like that. There is no way that guy is just not converting to the zone or ESPN Plus or any online platform to watch fights. And he doesn't watch fights on YouTube. He doesn't watch YouTube. So I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I mean, he's just going to be stuck out of luck, I guess.
He really aggravates me. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say he aggravates me. He really frustrates me.
Yeah, for sure.
He frustrates me.
Two Tails, where does the rumor come from? If you're speaking about the sparring incident and AJ's dad, it was from WBN, which is a credible news source in the UK. I'm just kind of reading the chat, so I don't know if that's what you're talking about or not, but there you go.
I don't think this rematch happens, and I'm going to stand on that.
I don't think so either. But
I just don't think it happens.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man.
That's just my opinion. That's my opinion.
It would be tough, but I tell you what, man, if he, you got to question. I mean, they must, I don't know what that contract, that rematch clause looks like. I don't know what that rematch clause looks like. But if there's any wiggle room to get out of it, I think he will.
Yeah.
I think Ruiz will. And the thing is, though, I honestly think Ruiz is definitely willing to fight him. I think Ruiz is going to, Legendary, do your own homework, all right? I think Ruiz will actually go to England to fight him, and I don't think he'll have a problem with that. But as an advisor, as a manager, as somebody in that camp, I would advise him against it. I would advise him to, maybe take it up stateside or do whatever the case may be. But, yeah, man, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know if I would do that because unless you're going to have three, I wouldn't even do three neutral judges. I would do a judge from the U.S., or maybe two judges from the U.S. then.
That guy. That guy from, I think he's from, is he Scottish or Irish? The guy, Unrivaled Boxing Talk and News.
Yeah.
He's Irish, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
He did a great video today, and he titled it, Al Haymon is going to block the Ruiz.
What was his theory on that? Yeah, what was his theory on that?
He just thinks that Al Haymon has all the belts now, and he's gonna control the heavyweight division. He's gonna block Eddie Hearn out, and that was kind of my theory too. Shout out to Unrivaled Boxing Talk and News. Oh, he's Irish. He is Irish. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a good guy. I like that guy. He's pretty smart.
He's a nice guy. He is, man.
Salute, Corey. Thank you, brother.
Corey,
how you doing, brother?
Anthony Scott with some more. Again, Anthony Scott, if you can provide us a link or anything like that, we'd appreciate it. Otherwise, we can't. We only take it with a grain of salt here. Yeah, Ruiz said. Rumor is Ruiz may get stripped of the belt. That's entirely possible. We saw that happen with Tyson Fury.
If the IBF strips him, I'll be so fucking pissed.
You know what? I tell you.
But you're right, Eric. Man. You're right, Eric. Who cares if they strip him? Who cares?
Corey Lee, no, we can't call in today. The one that, when I don't set up the phones, you guys want to call in. When I set up the phones, you don't want to call in. Like I said, they can take every belt off of Ruiz right now and strip him, and it makes no difference. He is the champion of the world. And in the public opinion, that's the way it's going to look. And if he goes and fights Deontay Wilder, the winner of that fight, in the public's eye, is the undisputed champion of the world.
Are you right, Eric?
Questions asked.
You're right. You're right.
Doesn't even matter.
You're right. But people are already talking about the IBF stripping him. Dillian White was talking today. He's like, yeah, I heard the IBF may strip him. I could fight for that vacant title. Dillian White's a funny bastard. He's got like a YouTube channel now. You listen to it?
Yeah. What was the thing today? I think there was a thing you sent me where he's.
He's saying that Joshua. I don't know how true this is. I'm not even gonna.
It's probably not true at all because it's Dillian White and Dillian White's on a smear campaign. Dillian, listen, man. I mean, he has no knowledge of anything.
He's a salty motherfucker, isn't he?
He really is. So you can't.
He's a salty motherfucker.
You can't trust anything that guy says.
Centurion Son, do you really want the rematch though? Honestly, knowing that Joshua just may not be the same. You really want the rematch? Joshua may retire. You don't even know that. You want the rematch. The guy's getting beat up in sparring. Is he in any condition right now to fight Ruiz next? You don't think he should fight at least a couple tune-ups? You think he's ready? He got beat up. That was a beat down. No, Eric? He was beat down in that fight. He was beat up in that fight. That wasn't like just Coach C made a great point. It wasn't Lewis. It wasn't like Lewis just catching one shot and going down.
Right.
Like he took a sustained beating. I gave him 1 round in the fight. You gave him 1 round in the fight.
Yeah. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of that first Terry Norris-Simon Brown fight, the one in Mexico, where Terry Norris took a complete beating for 4 straight rounds.
He wasn't getting beat up. He wasn't getting beat up until he got caught behind the ear and it never recovered. Dude, the fight went. He wasn't getting beat up until he got caught behind the ear and never recovered.
Well, first of all, he got hit in the temple. I thought he lost the first 2 rounds. You can make an argument that the first 2 rounds were split, but again, you got hit. You got
rounds 3. So the rest of the fight. round 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. You don't think getting beat up for 5 rounds is a sustained beating? This is what aggravates me with these guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he took a beating, and I don't know. Like I said, man, if I was his handlers, and again, I'm not. I think that maybe what you do from here with him is go on, get a confidence fight, get a tune-up fight before you go back into the water, and start fighting big challengers again. Because this was not a normal flash knockdown.
No, you're right, Eric. You're right. His dad's probably telling him right now, son, don't fight this guy next. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It takes more than he's saying that if you get hit. Yeah, it does. Okay. Yeah, we got it, man. I get that.
AJ laughed off a warm-up fight, but again, he was concussed when he's being interviewed.
Yeah. That was the other thing. Beeb, I told you when he came out, he was dry. He was bone dry. And I remember I said that. I said, that's an issue. Or maybe I was telling my dad that prior to. But when I looked at him, he was bone dry. He wasn't warmed up at all. He didn't look warmed up to me.
Gino Torneo said, tell these guys what Joshua said in the corner, Beeb. Why do I feel like this? Yeah, he did say that.
Yeah, he asked him what round
That's what I'm saying.
And
what round is it? Why do I feel like this? That's true.
Why do I feel like this? Yeah, that's the thing, man. He was buzzing that fight for sure. Yeah, that's not good, man. That's not good. That's why I say, man, if I were his handlers, if I were him, and if I were his handlers, I would advise him. The smart thing to do would be advise him to take a tune-up fight before he jumps back in. Get him a confidence fight. Somebody he's gonna go in there and just knock out, or give him some rounds, but then he'll take out whatever, But yeah,
I still can't believe what I saw.
I can't either. I can't.
It's amazing. I went back. I'm going to say something extremely corny right now, but this whenever I'm depressed and I'm not feeling good and something's bothering me, I'm going to watch this fight. This fight is so uplifting for me, man. I watched this fight like 3 times today. It put me in a really good mood.
It's amazing.
It just makes me feel so good seeing like a guy like that, the underdog. Like, I don't know. It's just a motivating thing. It's inspiring watching this fight. That's just how I feel. This fight is inspiring. And Stephen A. Smith was being roasted on Twitter, and then Max Kellerman is putting it to him during the show First Take. And the only reason why I was watching this because it was on the TV at my gym this morning. It was in front of me on the elliptical because I can't stand Stephen A. Smith sometimes. He aggravates the shit out of me. But he wouldn't walk back his statements about Andy Ruiz. He wouldn't walk back them. And here's the thing. And here's the thing: he got mad. He goes, "Oh, because these guys didn't fight, now we're not going to see the fight. Wilder should have been the one doing that." But this is the way I look at it, right? I'm saying to myself, well, if Wilder was the one doing that, then the fight would have been uneventful. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if Wilder went in there and beat him easy like that, I would have been dissatisfied because I would have wanted a competitive fight.
Right.
Right? So I would have rather seen Andy Ruiz do this because it was unexpected, as opposed to Deontay Wilder doing this because I would have expected a 50-50 fight. This fight was great, and Max Kellerman told me, he said, "Listen, now you had the big three, now you got the big four. How could you be mad about this?
Right.
It's another player in the division, right?"
Yeah, absolutely, man. And Centurion Sun said that the smart thing would be to get a tune-up fight speaking of Joshua, but then Ruiz may not give him the rematch, and I think that's accurate. I don't know that. I think the immediate rematch clause has to be after that, but. Yeah, you're right. But, I mean, you got to decide, at the point, listen, what's better for you?
Chris Haswell. Yeah, Chris Haswell just said AJ versus Wilder is still a 50 fight. Whoever lands first.
No.
My response to that is
no.
The only problem with your statement is AJ doesn't have AJ. We can definitely agree upon now is he doesn't have the punch resistance that Wilder has.
Yeah, no.
The punch resistance is going to be a problem moving forward. It's not the same.
Yeah, no, I disagree with his statement, man. No, that's not a 50-50 fight.
And the only reason why I disagree with him is because of the punch resistance from AJ.
I would now favor Wilder in that fight over AJ.
Absolutely, everyone says that.
Yeah, I would absolutely favor Wilder.
It's because of the punch. It's because of the punch resistance.
Yeah, right. That's the thing. And can AJ outbox him? Yeah, I think he can. But will he outbox him, man? I don't know. I think this laid down a blueprint for how to beat that guy.
You're right. You're right.
Tough.
Centurion Son. I don't have any issue with if you want the rematch, by all means, it's okay to want the rematch. I'm not trying to shame you into not wanting the rematch and playing on your emotions because I'm not trying to say like, oh, AJ's compromised. If you want to see him in the rematch and you don't care about it. If you want to see the rematch as a boxing fan, there's nothing wrong with that. I just have my opinion on it. I just don't think, seeing what I saw in that first fight, that AJ should take the rematch right now because it's not fair to him that he won't be. I think he needs a break. I think if you suffered a concussion in a fight, you should probably take a good 8 months to a year off.
But Beeb, I'll tell you what though, and I just heard you say he needs a break, and I get that. But this is a guy who largely fights twice a year now.
Yeah,
he fights twice a year. He doesn't have that many fights. I was never in favor of him fighting twice a year to begin with. I always thought you needed to keep this guy busy because he was a young champion. He got it real early, and he probably got it before he was ready for it.
Yeah.
So this is the guy you need to keep busy and not be a showpiece, in the sense that you need to keep this guy busy. You have to have this guy get work in to get better.
But the problem with that is, Eric, because he's at such a high level and obviously he's the champion, you can't keep putting him in stay busy fights or it's not going to be attractive to the fans. So this is why guys complain, oh, why does this guy only fight once a year? Why does this guy only fight twice a year? Because when you're fighting the level of competition that these guys are fighting, once they get to that top level and they become champion, you can't be in wars back to back to back to back to back. You got to give a guy soft touches, and the fans just weren't going to accept giving this guy a soft touch. This was supposed to be a soft touch. This was a soft touch fight on paper, and it turned out not to be.
Didn't turn out like that, right?
So
but,
that's the thing.
Yeah, I think that, and I know Steve Kimmett tweeted out something about this last night, and I agree with him. He said that it hindered his development. The fact that he was so soon fighting twice a year, it hindered his development, and I 100% agree with that. I couldn't agree more with that.
Gotcha.
And I get it, and I get it. They wanted to make him the attraction and fans and everything like that, and I get it. Maybe they fed him Prince Charles a little bit too early. They paid a lot of money for that title, and they got a lot of money from it. But again, it's his development suffered. Maybe I don't know. Just a thought.
But I don't think he takes the rematch.
I don't know. I don't know that the rematch comes off, but I don't know that it's for Anthony Joshua not wanting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's interesting, man. The next week, this week is going to be very interesting to see how this unfolds and how everything goes down from this, because there's a lot of moving parts in this for sure.
But he said I'm going to announce the rematch in 3 days. He said that, right?
Which means, well, I wonder if he's got venues and everything set, or if he thinks it's going to be in the UK. And I would be a little surprised. I mean, unless that's an ironclad contract, which might be. You mentioned it last night with Hasim Rahman and Lennox Lewis, how Rahman said, "Screw it, I'm gonna sign with Don King."
Yeah, that went to federal court though.
Yeah, went to federal court, and they said, you can not fight him, or you'll be off 18 months.
Yeah,
so that was a big deal. So
that was like back in, when was that?
Back in the day.
That was like 2001, I think.
And that was another one. That was a shocker when he lost, and
salute.
Yeah, but he came back and he won it pretty easy. So who knows? Maybe the same thing could happen. I don't know.
If he fights him and he's fine, do you see him losing? I don't know if he's ever going to be fine again. I'm just being honest.
Brandon Turner, yeah, I do. I just think it's a bad style matchup for him. I think it's a very bad style matchup for him. So there you go. Truth in this word. Salute. Centurion Sun. Salute. Jason. Salute. Brandon Turner. Salute. Chris Haswell. Salute. Tommy Boxeo, of course, salute. Champ Life, salute. Scant Rants, salute. Scan 0845, salute. Loma King, salute. Kylie 456, salute. Gino Tamayo, salute. I almost messed that up. Probably did. There you go. If Loma King said, if rumors are true about concussed, take the rematch, because that'd be the main problem. If rumors are not true, it was normal, 100%, then AJ don't take the rematch. It's possible. Jab the like button. I love that. Truth in this word. Jab the like button. Absolutely. Where's retirement Robbie? Robbie is on a DAZN coma now, I guess. I don't know. He's not with us today.
Doing the dishes.
Back on the weekend show. What'd you say? He's got issues?
He's doing the dishes.
Oh, he's doing the dishes. I thought you said he had issues. I was like, wow, man. Yeah, so there you go. AJ says, Larry Merchant said AJ should stick to stall fighters. Is Ruiz this generation's Corey Sanders? No, I don't believe so. I believe that's a legit win, man. I really do. I believe this is a legit win, and I believe that he's definitely better than everybody gave him credit for. Chandler M said AJ should retire. That's up to him, not us. Certainly one loss isn't going to do that. So I don't know. If he doesn't feel it anymore, that's on him. But Boxing Freak 91, did Robbie get the zone? No, Robbie did not get the zone. We tried to do an intervention with him yesterday, and it didn't take. So
won't do it.
Salute just means Gino has
a shout out.
Salute.
It's like a shout out.
Just shout out. Like we say salute just means hello, thank you for coming. Yeah, that's kind of what it means. Give Dillian White a shot if AJ doesn't take the rematch. Yeah,
I like Dillian White, man.
I don't hate that. Where would Ruiz make more money, in the UK or USA? Man, I tell you what, it depends on what that contract says. I mean, they were saying for the Wilder, I think when the whole Wilder thing came out with their rematch, they wanted a rematch clause, and it was a crazy rematch clause. Like, it had to take place in England, and it had to, you were getting the same, wasn't it the same amount as you were, like 35%?
Yeah,
it was just so ridiculous.
Again, this is why I'm glad that Hearn is doesn't have the power anymore.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with this bullshit anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not glad AJ lost. There's no
No,
ill will. Not happy for not happy that AJ lost. I'm happy that Hearn doesn't have the power anymore.
yeah. Scott Smith says Robbie needs to get the zone. That's true.
Of course,
Tommy Boxeo says make the rematch in LA in the Staples Center.
that's what I said.
For
That's
sure.
what I said. That's what I said.
There you have the fight in Mexico. Yeah, that's funny that you say that because Andy Ruiz had said, just read an article that he wants to fight in Mexico. He said he would love to do the rematch in Mexico. That obviously won't happen, but yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think that'd be great, man.
No, it'd be great. That'd be awesome. Azteca Stadium. Wow.
All right, guys. I think we're going to call it a night.
Yeah,
here.
thank you, guys. Thanks for showing up again.
Thank you so much for showing up, man. And remember to smash that like button on your way out. And stay tuned, man, because we will see you soon.